guys, I'm just back and I thought I would do a part 2 or second trimester little pregnancy update. I know that I found all these kind of videos really helpful when, you know, I've been going through my pregnancy journey and my IVF journey and my trying to conceive journey. Like, people sharing their experiences and everything has been super helpful, especially being a first time mum. And you know, there's so much that doesn't get talked about and so much it's quite difficult, so it's really helpful to have these videos out there and have different people to kind of learn from and hear their experiences. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. I've been kind of a little bit lazy. I haven't been keeping notes and everything on my phone, so I've got really good exact details to tell you guys, but I'll just use my memory and rough ideas of like when things are happening to give you a bit of an update on what happened for me. So yeah, I am currently about 28 weeks and a half now filming this, but I'm going to reflect back on my second trimester because now I'm in my third trimester. So with the second trimester, I've found an increase of energy, which was quite nice because the first one I was a little bit tired at the very start, gained a little bit more energy towards the end of the first trimester, but second trimester, yeah, it was definitely feeling a lot more myself, a little bit of an energy boost. There were still days when I felt a bit more run down and tired, especially towards the end of the second trimester, but I believe that was due to my own personal circumstances as well. I was working a full-time job, you know, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, finishing at 5 p.m, and then working my second job on a Saturday, so 6 days straight, from 10 to about 3 to 4 p.m. So for those of you guys that don't know, I am a youth worker or a counsellor, so that's my 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5 job, full-time job. And then on Saturdays and like on the weekend, I do astrology readings at the Page and Cup or online for anyone who's interested. My information's below. You can book a reading and find out more about all that fun stuff. But yeah, that left me really kind of tired because I've been working quite a fair bit. Trying to keep busy but also keep an income coming in and stuff like that. I also noticed that, you know, obviously my body was starting to change a bit more, so getting a little bit bigger. I started to kind of pop in the second trimester. So the first trimester I was just kind of bloated and just looked kind of a little bit chubby. And then yeah, second trimester I started to pop a little bit, especially towards 25 weeks, 26 weeks. I was, you know, popping. Not in a ridiculous amount, but definitely, yeah, more noticeable. Definitely there was a bump there. I think I went from a roughly about 79 to 80 kilos pre-pregnancy I was, and then yeah, now I've gained probably 5 kilos. So I'm roughly about 85 kilos. So yeah, gained about 5 kilos in total throughout the first and second trimester. So I know a lot of people have, you know, gained less, and people have gained a lot more than that. I think roughly about 10 kilos in general to put on is quite normal through pregnancy. So I think I'm tracking quite okay with that. I did have, you know, a little bit of confidence and body image issues, you know, as I was putting on weight and as all this stuff's happening, my body's changing, because usually I'm quite a very active person, you know, going to the gym, doing bodybuilding exercises 4 to 5 days a week. So definitely I had to calm down and relax on some of these things, and you know, I was just really kind of not feeling the motivation, a little bit sluggish as well. Plus with, you know, all the IVF treatments and medications, you know, and all that stuff that I've been doing for the whole 2 years or year and a half before falling pregnant, my lifestyle had started to change quite a fair bit. So yeah, those things kind of come up, especially early in the pregnancy, and I think by the end of the second trimester, I felt a little bit more comfortable with my body. I was a bit more proud of the baby bump and just getting used to it a bit more and adjusting. So I think it just hit me, you know, at the start of the second trimester, and then, you know, just calmed down a little bit once I thought about it and rationalised a bit more. Another thing that happened quite early on was my diagnosis for preeclampsia. So I had obviously a lot of blood tests and like a harmony test done in my first trimester, I think around week 11, or I was like 11 and a half weeks pregnant. So from that I got to find out the gender of my baby and also find out if there was any chromosomal issues or anything like that with the baby. But they also checked for things like preeclampsia and all those other sorts of things when they were doing my bloods for that. But I got the results back at about, I think, like 14 or 15 weeks. I think I got diagnosed with preeclampsia. I think it was 15 weeks I got diagnosed with high risk preeclampsia. So I'm not an expert by any means. Definitely speak to a doctor if you've got this as well, or you know, if you're worried about it. But essentially, for my understanding, is that preeclampsia impacts the blood flow from your placenta to the baby, and obviously the baby needs that blood flow and the nutrition and goodness, so it can grow healthy and be a decent, you know, weight, size and growth. So because I was high risk for preeclampsia, I think so from what I remember, they said something about the results coming back as 1 in 46 or something like that was my results. So they basically said a woman that comes back with results between, I think it's, yeah, anything from like 1 to 100 or something like that, they keep an eye on and classify as high risk for preeclampsia. So I was like a 1 in 46 chance of getting it. So those results, yeah, meant that my doctors recommended that I started daily aspirin. So now currently I'm taking 150, I think, 150 milligrams or something like that of aspirin each day, and that's just to help my blood flow from the placenta to the baby. It's supposed to just help with all that stuff for it, and lower my risks of preeclampsia occurring. And they also put me on calcium supplements, so I'm also taking those daily. They want to be on 600 mils, I think it was, or 600 milliliters or something of calcium off memory. So yeah, I'm on those plus my pregnancy supplements, so prenatal supplement, pregnancy supplements. And then I noticed emotionally I've been pretty good and pretty grounded throughout. I haven't been too overly emotional or like grumpy or anything like that. Definitely had my days and times where I felt a little bit more emotional, especially because of the types of pages and communities that I'm involved in. On Instagram, I'm following a lot of people that are having their own IVF journeys, and you know, some that have lost babies, stillbirths, miscarriages. I also had, you know, some friends going through ectopic pregnancies and all that kind of stuff, and you know, it's been interesting. So you can't help but feel a little bit emotional hearing some of those stories and stuff like that, and then thinking about my own situation, my own pregnancy, my own baby. It's been interesting, but nothing out of the ordinary. Like, emotions have been pretty good, been feeling pretty okay. Food wise, in the second trimester, I definitely noticed that I wasn't as hungry as the first trimester. First trimester, I was just eating all the time and I was so hungry. Like, I just felt like sick if I wasn't eating. Now in the second trimester, I felt like I was eating just a normal amount. I wasn't kind of overeating or anything like that. I didn't feel sick if I wasn't really eating heaps. So that was nice to have that kind of calm down a little bit. So that was kind of normalizing. Sleep was very challenging because I think the whole pregnancy I've been kind of like peeing a lot, and the baby's been quite low on my bladder. I don't know, but I drink a lot of water and stuff as well. But I have noticed second trimester, especially early on, I wasn't getting much sleep. The first few weeks of the second trimester, like, horrific. I think I'll be going to the toilet like 6 to 10 times through the night, and just crazy, just up and down, and then it was taking me like a while to get back to sleep, and I'd be getting up, going to the toilet and feeling like I needed to pee, and like, not even needing to. So I think a lot of that was the baby and his position and where he was. And yeah, if you guys don't know as well, I'm having a little boy, so yay. That's been exciting. That's the other thing I've been doing, is buying, being in the second trimester, buying more stuff for him and more clothes and starting to set up his nursery. It wasn't until about 22, 23 weeks where we started to buy some of the bigger things. Most of the things before that stage were just clothing. But yeah, now we've kind of got a cot, we've got a few more bigger items because it's getting closer, and you know, we're definitely in the safe zone now, so that's been really nice. The other thing was about 2 weeks ago, I believe, I got the results for my pregnancy diabetes test that I did, and I think I did that at about 20 to 21 weeks. I think I did that, the glucose test, the pregnancy diabetes one. I think people do it anywhere from 20 to like 24 weeks or something, but yeah, I think I did mine at about 20 or 21 weeks. But it just took a little while for them to tell me my results and get back to me, so yeah. Oh, actually, I probably would have done mine a bit later now, because actually I believe I got my results about 2 weeks ago, and I think it took them about a week and a half to 2 weeks after I'd had the test to get back to me, so that'd be about 4 weeks. So maybe it was closer to 24 weeks or 23 weeks when I had the glucose test, sorry. I would assume, yeah, probably closer to 23, 24 weeks I did that glucose test. So I'll tell you about the process and my experience with it. Firstly, the place that I booked in to have it done, the pathology, here in Tasmania where I live, there's a lot of different ones in the area where I live, and I went to the wrong pathology clinic, and thankfully the other one was probably only a 10-minute walk up the road, but I got to my appointment and took in my paperwork ready for my bloods to be taken at the pathology centre, clinic, or whatever you want to call it, and realised I was at the wrong one. So they kindly gave me some directions and called the other clinic and said I was on my way. I got to the clinic for my appointment. I think I was only probably about 4 minutes late for my appointment because I was already early to the other place. And yeah, the nurses and reception were kind of a little bit rude there to me, but that could have just been I was in a bad mood because I'd been fasting, and I just kind of like power walked straight up there, so I kind of wasn't in the best mood. But yeah, they weren't overly that great, but they just told me to take a number, sit down, and you know, when my number was called, they drew my bloods for me. So I was there at about 8 o'clock in the morning for my bloods. So you have to fast the night before, so I think the last time that I had anything to eat or drink was about 7:30 p.m. the night before. You're allowed to sip on water, but yeah, I didn't, because yeah, I just went and had my last bit of food and drink at 7:30 at night. I woke up, you know, quite early, very hungry. I didn't get to have my morning coffee, and before anyone, you know, gets mad or goes off at me, I have spoken to my doctor. I have been keeping an eye. I'm allowed to have a small amount of caffeine, so I switch between like a really small amount of caffeine and decaf coffee, but I usually have morning coffees. I always have, and it's the only thing that, you know, I kind of have that's got caffeine in it. So I don't drink Coke, I can't have soft drinks really, and I obviously don't have energy drinks or anything like that. So yeah, I was feeling a bit funny, a bit off and a bit tired because I hadn't had my breakfast, I had my morning coffee, I hadn't even had a glass of water, so I was a bit just like rah. And yeah, went to my appointment, 8 o'clock, I'm sitting there waiting, and I think it was about 20 past 8, or it could have been about 8:30 when I finally got my bloods taken. So what happened for me, they actually booked a longer one, and I think one with more tests and stuff on it. So I actually had to do a urine test, and I had my bloods done like 3 times, and I was there for a period of probably like 3 hours in total. So basically I went in, had a chat to the lady doing my bloods. She asked me heaps of questions, made sure that like right person and what I was there for. She explained to me everything that was going to happen. I did my urine test, gave that to her, and then I had my first lot of bloods taken. and then I had to quickly drink a little bottle basically of full sugar. So yeah, I think it's 75 grams of sugar. It's a glucose drink. It's not that bad, like it's not great, it's definitely very sweet and hard to kind of drink, but yeah, I drank that because they do give you a time limit. You have to drink it, you know, reasonably quickly, like within a minute or something, I think. So I was sitting there, drank the drink pretty quickly, as quick as I could to get it over and done with. Was told to go sit out in the waiting room for about an hour when they would call me back to take my bloods again. So I did that, went and sat there. I was kind of tired, like I think it was a mixture of not really having any food, not really having any coffee, not sleeping well. So I kind of had a little bit of a nap on the chair, waited there for an hour, went back in there, did my bloods again. So that was the second lot of bloods they'd done. She said the same thing, go out and sit there outside, like in the waiting area for another hour and come back and we'll do the last lot of bloods. So again, went back out there. I didn't really have a nap this time. I just kind of sat on my phone and just waited out there patiently for that hour. I was getting excited because I was like, yes, it's almost like lunchtime. I can almost go get some food, almost done. So went out in the waiting area pretty impatiently and was just like, come on, let's just get this last blood test done. So the hour went past, went in there, had the last blood test done. It was quite fine, like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of needles and stuff like that, and having 3 lots of blood tests, that was switching between my arms and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, after that last one, that was all done. They said I should have my results back, or the doctor should have my results within, like, you know, 24 hours or, you know, by the next day or something like that. But I didn't hear back from my obstetrician or the clinic that I go to for about it was about almost 2 weeks, not quite 2 weeks, but it was almost 2 weeks after I'd done the test. And I finally got the results. I think it was just because they were waiting until my next appointment when I was booked in to speak with them. So yeah, I got a call from my obstetrician late in the afternoon, and she had told me that I had pregnancy diabetes or digestional diabetes, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, obviously that was a bit of a shock to me. And again, it was another thing that I had to consider and keep in mind. So I was quite upset when I got that result. I did have a bit of a cry. I was a bit emotional about it because I was just like, I was a bit fed up, to be honest, you know, after everything I'd already been through, all the tests, all the blood tests, you know, the trying to conceive journey, being told, you know, that I'm infertile, basically then, you know, having to use IVF, spending a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of tests. Anyone that's gone through IVF and stuff like that, or, you know, trying to conceive journeys, knows that there's so many tests, both internal, like vaginal internal tests, abdominal tests, you know, blood test after blood test after blood test, so ultrasounds. It's very invasive. There's a lot that goes on. So yeah, there was all that, and then obviously, as I mentioned in the first trimester, before I'd even fallen pregnant, they do a lot of tests and stuff like that, and you know, I had to be very cautious of CMV because I haven't had it before, and the risk of that with, you know, being pregnant and what that could cause to my baby. So that was one thing that was on my mind. Also, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so COVID was on my mind and the risk of getting that while I'm being pregnant. And then, you know, second trimester, being diagnosed with high-risk preeclampsia and then pregnancy diabetes. It was a lot. It was a lot to take on, a lot of medications, a lot of things to remember to juggle and do. So yeah, it took its toll. So yeah, I was a little bit disheartened with that, but obviously it just took me a day or two to kind of be sad and a bit frustrated, and then I was just kind of back on track, and I'm just like, it is what it is. All I can do is make the best out of it and the most out of it. So what I ended up having to do was book in to see a dietitian specialist. So I did that. I think I got in with them about a week after that, after I got told that I had diabetes. So I went and seen a lovely lady who explained it all. Watched a lot of videos. She gave me a lot of printouts and handouts, let me ask a lot of questions. But essentially, she was just explaining that it's pretty common. About 1 in 7 women get pregnancy diabetes, and usually it goes away after they've had their baby. and she explained to me that most people can manage it through basically just tweaking their diet and their exercise, so that was pretty good to know. Obviously she explained that worst case scenario being they obviously have to give me insulin to kind of maintain everything and make sure that, you know, the baby were going to be safe and the baby would grow properly, because I guess one of the main concerns with pregnancy diabetes is the baby can grow way too big, or maybe even at times too small. So definitely they wanted to manage my insulin levels and make sure everything was going well. So yeah, I learned a fair bit about that. And what that meant for me is now having this pregnancy diabetes diagnosis, I obviously went to that first educational appointment with the diabetes specialist. She gave me a machine so that I can check my glucose levels, so I have to check them 4 times a day at the moment. So I check it first thing when I wake up in the morning before I've had any food or drink, so basically a fasting glucose test. And then I do it 2 hours after I've had my breakfast, 2 hours after I've had my lunch, and then 2 hours after I've had my dinner. So 4 times a day I check it. I write it in a logbook, and then every Monday I send that through to my OB for her to monitor and to have a look at. So my levels are supposed to be under 5 in the morning, and then throughout the day it has to be 6.7 or less. So the little results you get from the diabetes glucose machine. So I've been doing that for the past, I think this is my 2nd week now, and today's Saturday, so this is my 2nd week of doing the tests. Yeah, and so I'll send off my results again on Monday to my doctor, and I'm due to speak with my doctor next Tuesday. So today's Saturday, so on Tuesday I'm due to speak to her anyway, so she'll give me a bit of feedback about whether I'm managing the pregnancy diabetes well with my diet and exercise, and whether things are okay. Or we'll discuss options for insulin. At the moment I haven't seen any results that have been alarming or anything that's been wrong, so I'm hoping we can just keep going along with just checking in on my glucose levels and monitoring it through my food and my diet. So yeah, that's one of the more recent things that I've been kind of dealing with. So yeah, I've been really kind of trying to be really organized and struggling mostly, I guess, with just making sure I'm taking like my aspirin and calcium and iron supplements as well, because I was a little bit low in iron, so I'm on an iron supplement, pre-pregnancy supplements, and then doing my bloods like 4 times a day. There's like a lot, plus I'm working 2 jobs, so my brain's just like, especially, you know, being, you know, 3rd trimester now, but obviously even through the 2nd trimester, all this stuff was like a lot to remember, and could have been very overwhelming, and I'm, you know, managing a lot of it by myself. Like my partner's there, he's always like supportive, but he's quite busy working and stuff as well, and you know, he doesn't remind me or check in, you know, on those little things that I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm kind of supposed to be doing it and remembering it all myself, so it's been pretty hectic. But the pregnancy itself has been really nice. I definitely notice that the baby is moving a lot more, and I'll talk to you about the whole journey with the movements as well. So I think I first felt my baby move, I think like 100% at 16 weeks, but it could have even been as early as 13 weeks where I felt the first little flutters and a little bit of movement. But by 16 weeks I was definitely like, yes, that's definitely the baby moving, and it was only very small movements, and you know, it kind of felt like flutters or like gas moving, or like water just squishing around, and I don't know, it's hard to explain, but yeah, just very small movements. And then as I got closer to like 18 weeks, they started, you know, I started feeling kicks a bit more, that were a bit stronger. Moving closer towards the 20 weeks, I could start to feel, you know, more prominent movements and kicks and stuff more frequently, so you can feel like where they're sitting a little bit lower and when they're moving and when they're kicking. My baby was more active at lunchtime, especially when I was eating food, and then just before I go to bed, so that's the most active periods for me. But yeah, by the end of the 2nd trimester, so you know, weeks 25, 26, 27, I was feeling some pretty big kicks, some pretty hard kicks. Even it's hard to explain, but you know how like they're moving really slowly or like dragging something. I could feel that on like the inside of my stomach. So that was a really weird feeling, but it's really nice to be able to feel it, and it keeps me, you know, it keeps me knowing that they're okay, and you know, feeling them move and stuff like that was really good. So yeah, that's pretty much the baby's movements at the moment. I've nicknamed him Thumper, and just joking around because he gives me some pretty hard kicks. The other thing I wanted to finally mention, the last thing I think that's worthy, and this is probably my own personal experience with my health, is just that I noticed with the iron supplements that I was on, because they put me on a really high iron supplement, and it's probably a mixture of the aspirin and everything else I'm on as well, but I was having some really bad stomach pains, and it was almost like wind or gas was getting stuck and, you know, unable to move. So there was a few times where I was getting like back pain and stomach pain from it, and wasn't able to sleep. Like one night in particular, I was up from, you know, probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning, just with a fair bit of pain, where I had to call my midwife and be like, what's going on? Like, I've got back pain and now it's moved into my stomach, and I'm getting like, you know, these really bad gassy kind of really bad pains in my stomach. And obviously being my first pregnancy and stuff, like I didn't know if it was anything serious, and being high risk for preeclampsia and diabetes, I was just like, is this something really bad, or is this just like, you know, what's going on? But we ended up figuring out that potentially the iron tablets could have been the issue, because they can cause constipation and gas, and obviously aspirin can, with long-term use, cause like stomach ulcers and stuff like that as well. So I mean, it could be a range of things, but yeah, I was just having a bit of trouble with that. It's started to slow down and ease up a bit now. I'm still definitely, you know, a little bit more, you know, gassy than normal, and in pain a little bit every now and then, but it has gotten a lot better. And yeah, basically if it's too uncomfortable, I just skip a day of the iron tablet, just to, you know, try and see if that helps bring it down a bit, which it has been working. So that's been good, but you know, as much as I can, I'm trying to take those iron supplements every day. So that's the only other kind of health thing that I've had, but obviously every pregnancy is different, everybody's different, everybody's experience is going to be different, but that's just for me personally what I've had going on and happening for me. Yeah, but I'm excited to check in with you guys in the 3rd trimester and tell you all about how that is, and I'm sure by then Bub will be born, or just about born as well. So I'm already super excited now, because being about 27.5 weeks, there's only like 11 and a bit weeks, you know, getting closer to 10 weeks now, actually, like getting really close to only having 10 weeks left until I meet my baby. And if I have a C-section like we're considering, due to my health, because of my Turner syndrome condition, the high risk preeclampsia and the diabetes, if I have a cesarean, you know, that could mean potentially like he could come 2 weeks early, or even, you know, I could even elect to have a cesarean 2 weeks early before his due date. So I mean, really it could be more like 8 or 9 weeks until I get to meet him. So getting very excited. I think in this 3rd trimester that I'm in now, I'm definitely going to be focusing on getting the crib set up and getting his nursery all ready, and also going to start nesting around the house. I've been really wanting to, but obviously I'm not quite on maternity leave yet, so that's about, I think about 5 or 6 weeks away for me now, and then I'll be on maternity leave. But I'm really looking forward to being able to clean the house up, you know, 100%, just nesting, just getting everything organised, ready for Bub, getting some frozen meals cooked, getting his nursery done, getting the backyard all ready, so that when he gets bigger, he's got somewhere to kind of play and have fun. So yeah, that's going to be the big part of my 3rd trimester, is just those things. And I'm definitely going to be taking a step back. I know I'm a very active and physical person, so definitely now I just need to not work as much, and yeah, just focus on being pregnant and getting ready for the baby. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me some feedback and a like, and subscribe to my channel. Bye!